Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel Review Anything and Everything. And this is just really kind of a slight versus or comparison between the Hammond Collection T-Rex and the Hammond Collection Carnotaurus. Now, I'm not really going to go into big depth, and I'm not going to really, be moving the dinosaurs around all that much. It's really just a talking point that I really just wanted to get into, and I'm 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 just highlighting these two because I feel that you can see the evolution of where they've gone with the Hammond collection. Though the Hammond collection T-Rex was one of the early ones, he wasn't the first one. Obviously, he was the first one to have glass eyes. One point about him that is interesting is they did update certain aspects about him and evolve him. So his eye, they updated his glass eye, which obviously shows that within the line they've just been trying to make improvements. And I believe someone said that his paint job was actually a little different also, even though I don't have the previous version to compare it to. But I want to also just make note that, the a lot of the newer Hammond collection figures, or at least uh, the carnivores, such as I'm having a brain fart now, but I believe the term is theropod for the dinosaurs that are similar to T-Rex and whatnot. Um, these carnivores, they've been doing the teeth to be the soft material, which is this one has that as well, the Carnotaurus, and he has the glass eye now too. So you can see this kind of evolution of where they've been going from the earlier T-Rex, which they gave an update to him with the eyes. And, maybe I know they're not going to go to the far extent of updating the feet and all that stuff, which would be grand, but they've at least updated the eyes, which wasn't like a something that was going to be hard for them to do. But just in general, you're seeing that where they've gone now with the Carnotaurus, that you have such things as, let's see. So the T-Rex always had the rubbery end on the back of the tail. I didn't even realize that, but I know that this one, the Carnotaurus, has that, along with a few other Hammond collection figures. But having the glass eye, really nice proportions, and his size is very good. I mentioned this in the review, but his length is 17.5 inches, and his height from his hips up to where the tip of the spikes is 6.5 inches. And when it comes to actual within scale to the 3 and 3/4 inch figures, that measures out to roughly about, like, I did the math, but it's roughly about like 10.5 inches in terms of, I'm sorry, 10.5 feet in terms of height within that scale, and about a length of about, like, maybe I think it's like 28 feet in length for the scale. So the scaling within the figures is 100% just on point, and that's how big a Carnotaurus is. Even the Hammond collection T-Rex measures at like 38 point something feet if you do the scale conversion. So she's very close to being very accurate, where I believe Rexy was like 43 feet. So it's at least very close to that versus the other ones that would normally measure the equivalent of like about 33 feet in length when you did the conversion. And so it's nice seeing where they've taken things. Now the Hammond Collection Rex already set the bar very high in general with a lot of features. Obviously, the articulation, this and that, but you can see some small flaws that you can see the evolution that they changed. For example, the large feet. They did that because I guess they wanted to make sure he would be able to stand, which is very funny because the feet on, say, the Epic Roaring T-Rex, which was one of the very first of the main line to really kind of have that detail and whatnot, its feet would be more proportionate on this figure than what this one's feet are currently on it. So you can see here in the Carnotaurus how they fix that with smaller feet that are better proportioned for the size of the dinosaur. A very heavy body, but not too big. Nice length. Obviously, all the Hammond collection dinosaurs had great length. That was never the issue. But definitely having greater length and proportion versus the main line was definitely a thing that they did. But when you're comparing these two, you can see the changes in terms of the little details that they did just to make it a little bit more accurate than how the other line used to be. Like, well, the other line was not the other, I'm sorry, the way the Hammond collection line was in the beginning, where, like I said, there were certain things that they didn't have right with the T-Rex. But after hearing the criticism of a lot of the fans and the owners of the product, they decided to kind of make updates, and you could see that along the way. And a lot of the other dinosaurs that are in between these two, because here you have, though Rexy is not the first Hammond collection figure, but it's one of the early ones. And then here you have the Carnotaurus, which, if I'm not mistaken, is the latest. So you can see that evolution. Now, one thing they did kind of mess up on him with is his hands. But then again, it might have very well been the fact that if his hands were too small, which would have been accurate in size and scope, you probably wouldn't be able to have the articulation that you have with them, along with the fact that, it's still, though it's a collectible, it still is a figure that someone might want to play with, like a kid might want to play with. And in that regards, they may want to be able to say, okay, we've got hands that they can move around. So it actually pose, maybe you want to change up the pose of them, even though generally speaking, his hands were too short, his arms were too short to even really have that kind of dynamic. But so I don't knock it that much in that regard. Otherwise, you would have just had almost like two stubs there that you can't really do anything with. But yeah, put your thoughts down below. Let me know what you think about the evolution of the Hammond collection from where it nearly started to where it is now. The changes. Do you like all the changes? What are you expecting for the future of the line? What do you think that they can improve inside the line? Just put your comments down below. I'm going to put a link in the description for both of these figures on Amazon, affiliated link. And yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next video.